Hey guys, Drew here from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond, and we got my second video of the year. First video with was Eric back, because last video we did one with my friend from work and school, Tanner. We did 20 Todd. I don't know if you watched that video or not.
I started it, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm looking forward to finishing it up.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really into like the technical side of music.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of cool that.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun discussion.
Yeah, well, it was cool because like we both have good musical ears, me and Tanner. I have a more musical ear as far as like feel, like how a particular tone makes me feel. But I think he has more musical ear about like more like the technical side of it, like what notes are and like scales and all that.
Yeah, much more well versed in that sort of thing. I'm like, that sounds good. That sounds good. I think that's good.
Yeah. So if you couldn't tell from the title already, today we're gonna do another list video, and we're gonna do our top 13 horror villains and horror protagonists. But we before we do that, you know what's coming. We gotta do what kind of horror, sci-fi, fantasy, superhero media that we've been consuming since the last time we talked. So I'll let you go first.
Sure. Yeah. So since the last time we've talked, I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, did you like it?
I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't love it. I wanted to love it.
Okay.
But like, I liked the first hour, and then the second hour, I was kind of, and this, if I go into it, it get into spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt it felt too safe by the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a baddie that kind of already has been established and everything. And I was just kind of like, oh,
It was cool to see Gozer on the big screen when I went to go see it for the first time.
I agree. But at the same time, I was kind of like, oh, we're doing Gozer again. I was like,
yeah.
Okay.
Are you a god? I don't think so. Then die.
Yeah. But I thought it was fun.
The Emperor from Star Wars all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, and just like shooting lightning bolts.
I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Paul Rudd was awesome.
I love the first hour. Yeah. The first hour is a lot of fun.
Yeah. I like the little girl playing Egon's granddaughter. Yeah. I thought there was a point in this movie where she makes a discovery. Again, not going to say what it is. She just automatically just knew what it was. There was no time to realize or to really contemplate what it.
Yeah.
And then I thought the humor, it was good. It just wasn't like Ghostbusters. That was kind of more like the SNL, because you got, Dan Aykroyd coming from that show.
Sure.
As one of the writers. And it was a lot more cynical. This is more, what do you call it? This is more like family movie.
Sure. Yeah. You're right. This is more.
Yeah, there was some adult jokes in there.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I'll probably watch it again at some point, but it wasn't like it's not instant classic like Ghostbuster was to me.
I did not realize the whole time I was watching it for the first time that was that mom was actually Ben Affleck's sister in Gone Girl. Carrie Coon.
Did not realize that until you just now said that.
Yeah, I loved her.
I knew I'd seen her. I knew I'd seen her somewhere before. Yeah, I couldn't remember where I'd seen her before. That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought she was fantastic in Gone Girl, like bouncing off with Affleck.
Yeah. Affleck.
Anything else?
Yeah, played by Doug. I also watched Last Night in Soho, and I know it was your favorite movie of the past year. And I felt about the same way I felt about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
What?
Because I really liked the first hour.
All right, we're done.
And then
we're
I
done.
thought it I know. I'm sorry. I thought it fell apart by the end. I thought the end wasn't as strong as the beginning. There's a twist. There's a twist in there
Yeah.
that I was like too much. And there's also a couple jumps in logic. I was like, that's too much. I don't know. There's if we go too far into it, we start spoiling things. People
Yeah, I wish they would have tied stuff that they established kind of in the beginning more at the end. And then I didn't like one aspect. It kind of made me feel kind of icky a little bit, considering I don't want to say. I'll say off the after we record. So anything else?
No, that's it. I've just been trying to catch up on Boba Fett, and it's been super fun. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, I've been watching some Boba Fett. Watching new Scream, thought was pretty good.
Nice. I need to catch that one. I've been making my way back through all the old Scream movies, and first one's classic. Second one is not as good as I remember it being, and the third one is better than I remember it being. So it's been fun going back and revisit sequel. Yeah, I think 4 is solid. 4, it goes in my official rankings now go like 1, 4, 3, 2. 2's hasn't aged as well as I wanted it to.
Yeah, my problem with the new one is, I got a couple of problems. I won't really say a whole lot because you haven't seen it yet. They introduced something that ties back to the original, which was kind of cool, but it didn't really feel right to me. They could have cut that guy out completely and still did kind of what they wanted to do, because it was connected to something else. I liked the motivation of the killer. It did not connect to Sydney. Well, it did, but it was like it was a distance.
Yeah.
The other 4 movies, it was her boyfriend, it was the boyfriend's mom, it was her estranged brother, and then there was her cousin.
Yep.
Yeah. This one, it was connected to her kind of, but it was distant. And speaking of Neve Campbell, they sidelined her in this movie.
I mean, they kind of sidelined her in 3 too. Like, she's gone for the first like 45 minutes of that movie.
Yeah, but like they were really pushing like this is the old cast, and we're gonna get back together, and they just really sidelined her. I did not like that kid.
Ooh.
I won't say where Sydney Prescott appears on my protagonist list, but she's pretty up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So I was a little pissed off at that. Other than that, I've been reading a lot of Batman comics because the new Batman coming out in 29 more days.
We'll see if the pandemic doesn't kill it first.
I hope not. Fingers crossed, man.
Fingers crossed.
Well, actually, by the time you're watching this, on Thursday the 3rd, it will actually tomorrow will be a month. Which is pretty cool.
I think we'll make it. I think it'll go. I think we'll get a release. Yeah. I hope.
Yeah, I think people are being a little bit more smarter to there is still some pushback, but I don't want to talk politics right now.
Sure.
But in conjunction to that, if you know anything about this new Batman movie, Matt Reeves is basically inspired by a lot of like 70s crime movies like Chinatown and Taxi Driver, French Connection, and I actually last weekend decided to watch Chinatown.
Oh, nice. Have you ever seen it before?
I've never seen it.
It's good. Solid. Holds up.
Yeah, I wanted to watch, kind of see like where his influence were coming from, and I can kind of see that. Not seeing the new Batman, but knowing like it's going to be all about spoken lines about Gotham and maybe the Wayne family, maybe.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, because I think they're gonna draw a little bit of the Court of Owls storyline into here too. Which is, if you never read that story, if you like horror, like definitely check out Court of Owls. It's amazing.
All right, I'll give it a go.
But yeah, I really like Chinatown. I thought it was pretty really good.
Yeah, it's good. Holds up. It holds up for a movie that was made almost like 50 years ago now.
Yeah, and guess what? I didn't feel bad or yucky considering the fact that it was directed by Roman Polanski.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie's not really. I mean, it does. Yeah, no, I don't know what I'm talking about. But And then one of the Batman comics I read with another one I want to highlight real quick was a comic
Sure.
called Batman the Ego.
I don't know. I don't know this one.
Yeah, it's really good. Probably like the
Okay.
best Batman story I've ever consumed ever.
Oh shoot. Okay.
It
Is it
basically
new or is this old? Is this like an older? When was it released? I guess is the question.
90s, I believe.
Oh, okay, 90s. Okay,
So
cool.
basically, Bruce Wayne, Batman, kind of is in like existential crisis as he always is. But what's
Hmm.
different about this one is he battles like his inner demon,
Hmm.
like literally.
Oh, right. I mean, it's called Ego, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So like so it's like, I mean, it's not literal, but it's like on his psyche, but like it's represented, his demon is represented by this big shadowy like version of himself.
Hmm.
Almost like a demon
Okay.
kind of thing, and he's
Like a
kind of
demon bat.
taunting him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really good. Definitely check it out.
All
For sure,
right.
like make
Sounds
it a
great.
priority.
Sure. All right.
Like it
Done.
is amazing
I'll
how
find it. I'll look it up right after we get off of here.
yeah, man, like it was a little kind of not, it was a little hard to follow in the beginning of it after I backtrack a little bit, but once I
Sure.
got into the thick of it, like I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like it was really taken back, like, holy shit, this is amazing.
That's great. It's great when you can read something and even something that's like well worn and where well traveled as like Batman can like just really wrap you up and like take you to
Yeah,
some
and
place
then
you never thought before.
yeah, and the writer and artist Darwin Cook, who worked on this story,
Hmm.
took certain aspects that, for better or worse, maybe or may not be like commonly known as part of the Batman mythos, and he kind of like rearranges them around and do something really cool with that.
Cool. Very cool.
But anyways, guys, let's do our top 13 in horror villains and horror protagonists list. Do you want to do villains or protagonists first?
Let's do protagonists first, because I mean, horror movies, most of the time, if you've got a good villain, you've got a good story. So sometimes they're more interesting than the protagonists. So.
Okay. So before we get started, what makes a good villain and a good protagonist? Just in general, but especially in the
Um,
genre.
I will say that what makes a good villain to me, within like the horror genre, is in some ways understanding and empathizing from their plight or where they're coming from, and this assuming that they're not like a mindless villain like or a monster, sort of like a xenomorph or something like that. But
Right.
to me, what makes a good villain is being able to understand where they're coming from, and then the reasons for what they're doing or how they're doing it is understandable at least. And then a protagonist is super cool.
Yeah, well, I think another reason what makes a good villain is that it's somehow, and I think this is a perfect example of the Batman villains.
Sure.
I know I'm like super crazy about Batman right now, because of the new one. But like, if you think about it, like villains like Joker, Penguin, Mister Freeze, Two Face, Scarecrow, they're all a reflection of Batman in one way or
Sure.
another.
Sure.
You can say that with a lot of horror villains.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Ghostface's
For sure.
reflection of Sydney or Billy Loomis, at least, because he experienced this tragedy, and then now
Sure.
he wants to make Sydney suffer.
Of course. And then and so how he deals with his experience with this tragedy is completely different from how she does it. And that's to each their own, I guess. But at the same time, like, Sydney didn't, take up a knife and start killing people. So
Right. Then I also think another good aspect is like you have a villain like Dracula who just like a personification of evil. Like
sure. Yeah.
I think in modern day translation, I think Dracula means devil, I believe.
Hmm. I don't know that for sure, but that sounds right.
Yeah, well, I know originally, if you look back to the history, with Vlad the Impaler, his father was part of the Court of Dragons.
Hmm. Sure.
That's kind of where that name came from, Dracula. Um,
Hmm.
Bram Stoker came up with the story of Dracula before he found out about Vlad the Impaler. I'm just going to let that now. That's a common misconception. You got it from name alone.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
And I
so
think
anyway,
it works the same way with protagonists too. You know, there's a little bit of the villain inside them as
oh
well.
yeah. So I think with the villain, you have Van Helsing, who is the personification of good, everything that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what.
So you like the right. So you like the cut and dry ones, or I
Um,
like a lot
not
of
necessarily.
mine. Especially on this list, a lot of mine are skirting the line, especially before the end, whether they're actually the hero or the villain. Sometimes.
Not necessarily. I like I like a lot of different character dynamics in
Mm,
general. You know, I
sure.
love the underdog. I love, the character that's passionate about something,
Mm-hmm.
despite what everybody else thinks. Kind of like the character in Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
I like those kind of characters. But I don't know. Let's get to the list. We're gonna do protagonists first. What is
Yep.
your number 13? So we're gonna go
My
through
number.
as quickly as possible. Well, not super
Okay.
quick, but pretty quick. Okay, be kind of
Right. Number 13 on my list, and you're probably going to think this should be a little higher, but number 13 is Laurie Strode from Halloween.
Okay, that's not a bad placement. So like the
Yeah,
original
I think
Halloween,
right, original Halloween, and maybe you consider Halloween 2018 along with that, if you
yeah.
consider within that sort of same universe. But yeah, Laurie Strode is like the perfect, especially in the 70s one, is that she's like the perfect every woman.
Mhm.
Like high school girl, like doesn't do anything, like she's completely relatable. She smokes pot in the car, she's just babysitting, she's just trying to carry on her life. And I think what makes it
They
really
look like she's
relatable is
gonna
a lot of
freaking
like,
like puke when she smokes the pot, which is
oh
hilarious.
sure. Right. And I think what makes them a lot relatable is like the dialogue that Deborah Hill kind of crafted for all the kids in the movie is like super it's super nonchalant. They're not like talking like Juno or anything like where they have like super long soliloquies with like pop culture references. They just talk like kids. And
Right.
I think that makes them far more believable. So yeah, number 13 is Laurie Strode.
All right, my 13. I did a little bit of cheating, but
Okay.
I can't really separate these two characters out. Um,
Sure.
so my 13 is gonna be from the Scream series, Gail Weathers and Officer Dewey.
That's fair.
And I love Gail. I love Gail because like she's just a bitch, and you would not
Oh
think
yeah.
that like C and Dewey would get along. And he's kind of like the goofy kind of guy.
Right. It's
Um,
like they're yin and yang to each other.
yeah, and that's kind of, I guess, goes to my point with, he had like the good villain or the good, hero, and then the evil villain kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I just like that dynamic. I think that's funny. And despite Dewey being super goofy, he's actually a pretty decent
Mm-hmm.
cop. The way he reasons things out,
Sure.
it's really interesting. And I don't like where he's at in the newsroom.
Mm.
I thought that was really interesting what they did with him.
Okay.
And then I love how in Scream 2, how like Gail basically sticks up to Dewey. There was that one person that was trash talking him, and then like he was like, "Well, Dewey's a good person."
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, like they're like watching all those movies back to back for the past like week or so, and like seeing their sort of like arc as characters and as like love interest is like, it all works. Like it shouldn't for any number of reasons, like them falling in love and all that sort of stuff, but it makes a lot of sense, and
Yeah,
they're great. They're great little characters, and they're
I,
great that they're not the anchors of the movie too. Like that they are these sort of backup supporting characters
right. And
to
I
our
love
lead.
Dewey's theme, that down, 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 down.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. I hadn't listened to it in a long time. It's great. You're right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does not fit in a horror movie, really. It's not
Yeah.
scary or spooky or mysterious, but like it worked for that character, that innocence of that character, and they played it in the new one, and I just smiled when I saw that. I thought like, oh, they're playing Dewey's thing. That's so cool.
Nice. That's great. That's great. No, it gives it's a very like Wild West sort of like theme that goes with it. It's something that they would
Yeah, like a
like John
softer
Carpenter would have
version of
made
it,
for like
like a more innocent
yeah,
version
right,
of it,
right.
a lighter version of it. Well, what's your number 12, man?
Number 12 is Henry Spencer from Eraserhead. Um,
Jesus.
and I put Henry Spencer here because a lot of my protagonists and a lot of my villains, they like double back and forth between villain and hero, especially by the end of that. Henry basically becomes his own villain. But it's a mind trip. It's all through and he's our central character that takes us through this whole kaleidoscope of just terrible, disgusting imagery. And he's got an amazing hairdo, which is great.
Yeah, pretty iconic, I would say. I've never seen the
Yeah.
Eraserhead, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know who he is without even having seen the movie.
Right.
Who's number 12 on your list?
My number 12 is, and I don't have these in really in a lot of particular order. It's just one that
Sure.
I like. I have Ash from Evil Dead, but the whole series, specifically
wow.
2 and 3. Even though 2 is my least favorite out of this trilogy, I know that's blasphemous.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Evil Dead 1 is my favorite out of all of them.
That's fair. Evil Dead's my favorite one too.
Yeah, I just love Bruce Campbell, and he's kind of like one of those heroes like John McClane from Die Hard. He's just a regular old guy, and he's stuck in this ridiculous situation over and over again.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the first one, he's almost a believable character. Then he becomes like a cartoon character for the rest of them. But
same thing with Ripley from Alien. She's just a
oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Oh, and it's interesting too because you're now starting to like hit places on my list that are like in different spots. So we're starting to cross over now.
Yeah, and I like he's just so crippy, man. He just has like always the best thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he's got some great one-liners. A chainsaw for a hand is super cool. Yeah.
Groovy is probably one of the most classic ones.
Yeah, Hell to the King, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love the stuff. Ash Williams, man, he's badass. And like,
oh yeah,
what's more iconic than a chainsaw for a hand, man? That's pretty badass.
Exactly. And you know, people talk about Scream Queens a lot. I would put Ash Williams up there with Scream Queens like any day of the week. He's got one of the great all-time male screams for any horror movie.
Yeah, have you ever seen Eli Roth History of Horror on AMC? Like even Bruce Campbell mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
He's got a great scream.
Yeah, you can buy those. You can buy that show on Amazon Prime.
Nice. I have Shudder. I think it's on there. I need to start watching it. I've seen it on there. It's just cool.
There's also the Evil Dead documentary on there about the fans of Evil Dead.
Oh, is it the Dead Eights? All Hail the Dead Eights or something like that?
Yeah, it's really good. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Hadn't seen it, but I need to check it out.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm behind on all kinds of movies.
Yeah, you are. You're a working man.
I am a working man. I'm trying to catch up.
So what is your number 11?
My number 11 is I had to look up his name because I couldn't remember his name off the top of my head. But it would be George Nada from They Live. This is my first. Have you ever seen They Live? It's Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
That's all. So I was just like Roddy Piper from They Live, but I didn't know his real name. So apparently his name is George Nada, and I've seen that movie like 20, 30 times. I never knew what his name was. But he's like the personification.
I'm all about bubblegum.
All out of bubblegum. But yeah, he's super cool. They Live has one of my favorite fight scenes of any movie. Some people hate it, but I love it. It's John Carpenter doing his present Snake Plissken. He's basically doing a Western but set in sort of like a hobo camp. And who better to play your badass hobo with glasses who can see aliens in disguise than Roddy Piper?
Right.
it's super fun. It's cool. It's a great movie about that holds up really well still to today. I'll be really bummed if they ever remake it because I don't think it should probably be remade. But
Right.
yeah, George Nada,
Maybe
they live.
with how things are going now, but I think and me not seeing it, I think maybe it's kind of just as relevant now.
Oh yeah, no, it holds up. Like he gets better every year. I think I'll
Yeah.
watch it. So
Do you
uh,
dress up as the alien from that?
oh yeah, no, the masker's sitting right back over there.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty cool. I even knew what that was. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, made those masks for Halloween. They were super fun.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
awesome.
you could drop a photo in here.
Yeah, I'll try if I remember.
Okay.
Or you can, I guess you can share it on my Facebook.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that horror sci-fi I'm beyond.
Oh, of course. Great. Yeah. I'll drop it in with the. I'll drop it on the list.
Yes.
So yeah, who's your number 11?
Mine 11 is from my favorite horror movie of all time, Psycho, and it's Marion
Oh,
Crane.
okay. All right.
And it started, and that's another one of those ones where it kind of it's on the line because he's kind of bad because he's stealing money from her work,
Sure.
but then he just wants to be with this guy,
Right.
and then he gets killed. I don't. It's hard to, but I just like her because like she's honestly a horrible liar. Like she
Oh
never
yeah.
lied a
Terrible.
day in her life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what I like about her. It's so genius. And then
Of course.
like you think that's going to be the MacGuffin, which is the money,
Mm-hmm.
hidden in the newspaper, and then it doesn't even matter anymore.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind
It's
of like
great.
No Country for Old Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Money doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
not about the money at the end of the day. But you're great. I mean, that's great though. You're like nailing on like what we were talking about a few minutes ago about like um your protagonist not being this sort of like angel that leads you through the movie. It's who we are as an audience supposed to identify with or fear for or any of those number of things, because they're vulnerable and sure
oh
that
yeah,
people make bad decisions all the time. And so yeah, no, I love that's great.
yeah. What I like that Joseph Stefano and Hitchcock does really good in this movie,
Hmm.
or with that character, is that like you really get into her psyche and her thought process. Which
Yeah.
is really tricky, especially when you're adapting something from a book.
Oh yeah.
And if you think about it, the first part of this movie is not really horror; it's film noir, kind of.
Oh yeah, no, it's just about her trying to. It's more of like a suspense thriller than it is a
Mm.
horror movie at the beginning because she's just like, will she get caught? Won't she get caught? She's trying to buy a car, then she's just driving and she gets
Right.
pulled over. It's great. All some are just like great sort of will she won't she get caught sort of scenarios.
It's like film noir in the beginning, and then
Yeah,
horror thriller in the second half.
yeah.
And even like her like just driving, she's having like those conversations in her head of like what could this
Mm-hmm.
guy that that her company's working with and her boss, Mr. Larrate, talking about. That's very film noir.
Mm-hmm.
That's very like in that language of
Oh,
filming.
for sure.
So what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Sean from Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, good one. Good one.
Yeah, I love Shaun of the Dead. It is it may be my favorite Edgar Wright movie. Followed closely by Hot Fuzz. But
I feel
it's
like Baby Driver. That's my favorite.
oh, I hate Baby Driver. I know
What?
you're gonna. I hate it. I
All
hate
right.
it so much.
That's
I
strike
know.
two.
I hate it.
It's funny I keep
Uh,
saying that strike two because I'm wearing a baseball hat.
I know. I
Go
know. I'm
Reds.
sorry. But I love Sean. I love Shaun of the Dead. He's his wants and needs are so simple and straightforward. Um, and Simon Pegg is infinitely lovable as a guy, as a completely kind of just doofus who's just trying to get his life together and win over the woman he loves, even in a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
And his psychic. It's great. It's great fodder for horror comedy. It's super funny, super gory, and
Yeah.
Sean's great. Yeah, I
Yeah. I
want him to
love
win.
it.
I want him to get the girl in the end. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
so
Edgar
good.
Wright. He's like one of my favorite
It's
directors.
that twist. what's great about the movie is that it's super lighthearted until he has to kill his mom, and then it's like it becomes a horror movie in that last like 15
Right.
minutes. But it's great. It's a great movie. I would recommend if you hadn't seen it. You should have seen it by now because it came out like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So
I see. I fell asleep towards the end,
mm,
but I need to watch it again.
yeah,
Yeah, I can forgive you about Last Night on Soho, but Baby Driver, come on, hanging out like Baby Driver, it's amazing.
it just feels like I've only seen it once, and maybe I just need to go back and rewatch it. But Baby Driver, I don't like Baby. And I think that's
Really?
the main problem with it, is I just don't like I don't care about that character. Like the opening where he's playing the car and it's supposed to be endearing to him. It's like, I don't believe any of this. Like this like
Oh no, I disagree
I
with
don't
you
believe I don't
110%.
I don't get it. But some people love it, and I understand why,
Mm,
but I don't. I don't know.
yeah,
I need
well,
to
you're
rewatch it again.
wrong.
Well, don't know about that. But
Wrong! Sorry, that was
who's
my,
your number
my
10?
story impression from Spring Returns.
Who's
Um,
your number 10?
my number 10 is gonna be Dr. Loomis from Halloween.
Oh,
Yeah, specifically.
interesting. See, I almost picked Loomis. But I almost went with Lori.
Yeah, I like him because he just gets desperate, man. He just wanna stop Michael Myers, but he knows he can't.
Yeah, yeah. Short of like just straight up murdering him, and even if he tries to, by the end of the movie, he like straight up like shoots him like 6 times.
Right. And is
Can't
it Halloween
kill him.
4 when he tells the guy that he prays that he rots in hell, and then I realize my heart that hell will not have him. That's that one, right?
That's 4. That is the return of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that line because it just sums up this whole mission. Like he just
Oh
knows
yeah.
he can only like slow down Michael Myers. He can never stop him. It's like Judgment Day and Terminator.
People like to crap on Halloween 4, but I love Halloween 4.
Yeah, and what was crazy was like in Halloween Kills, like when they went back and showed, him, back, like what happened, after the first movie, like that same
Sure.
night. Um, that wasn't CGI. That was some guy that looked like Donald Pleasant.
Yeah, yeah. I
Through.
blew my mind. I thought it was like unused footage from like 1978 because
Yeah,
it looks just like him.
it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It was like, what?
Speaking of that, did you see the trailer from the new Godfather making of series?
Yeah, I didn't know they were making a Godfather.
They're making one, and they got the comedian Don Foley as Francis Ford Coppola, and when they showed him at the end of the trailer, I'm like, holy shit, that looks like Francis Coppola from back in the day. It was crazy.
I need to watch it. I need to watch the trailer. I haven't seen it yet.
The actor that played Sam Kinison in that biopic.
Oh, okay.
And
I think I know what you're talking about. Crazy. He's a chameleon.
Yep. What's your number 9?
Number 9 on my list is Peter, and I don't know his last name. And I should have looked it up, but I didn't. But it's Peter from Dawn of the Living Dead, or Dawn of the Dead, not the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. So 1970.
Oh, that
78.
One?
Yeah, the original Peter from 1978, Dawn of the Dead, George Romero. Because he's him and went back and forth between Peter and I forget the other guy's name off the top of my head. I know people are probably screaming, going like, "It's that guy," but I can't remember his name. But between those two guys, like these sort of straight, level-headed dudes trying to overcome the apocalypse and just hunkering down in this mall. And the way that movie works is just a slow burn. Like they're figuring it out as they move through the movie. So like it happens almost in real time. It's great. Like the original Dawn of the Dead is great. And Peter's super cool.
Yeah, I thought I heard maybe The Find to come by.
Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah.
I have it on. Yeah, I got it. I have it on like DVD. I have one of those like old Anchor Bay ones that has like 4 discs. It's got like the Dario Argento cut of it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch.
I love Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, hopefully it comes out like on a Special Snack Factory.
You would assume so. I mean, they released Day of the Dead on Shout Factory, like one of those, but I don't think they've ever released Dawn.
Yeah, they're coming out
Missed
with
opportunity.
Night Creatures with Peter Cushing this April.
Oh yeah, I saw that was getting released. That looks cool.
Yeah, I posted it on my Facebook.
Maybe that's where I
Uh,
saw it.
but yeah.
Who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Laurie Strode from 2018's Halloween because I think he's a lot
Oh,
more interesting. He has a lot more to do.
okay.
But I mean that's fair because like the original Halloween was like probably her first movie, I believe.
I think she had some like just bit parts between here and
Yeah.
there, but nothing big. Like it was like Halloween was her first like movie.
Hmm. Yeah, but I just like how like she's like this traumatic character, and she's letting this fear and paranoia fester for 40 years, and then like she's finally getting revenge.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Like her whole character arc for the 2018 remake, reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it, it's great. It's what makes those. It's what makes that make that whole thing drive.
Right.
It's good.
And I'm
So good.
hoping she's just as badass in Halloween Ends, like it coming out later this year. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I will say I watched Kills the extended cut, and the end of that movie is so much better with like their extended cut ending. They cut it out for like the original movie, and it just kind of like ends. But this one, like she picks up the phone to call her daughter, and she can
Mm,
hear Michael Myers breathing, and so she picks up that knife that they've been in the room the whole time, and
right.
she starts walking down the hall. She looks like badass. And it freeze frames on the knife, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready for kills now, or I'm ready for ends now,
Right.
sort of thing.
It makes you
So I
wonder
would
how
say
long, since
much
it's
better.
going to be like 5 years later, what they're going to do with the story from here. It
I
seems.
don't know because it was originally all supposed to be on the same night. Like it was supposed to be,
Oh, really? That's a
yeah, it was
long
all
ass
supposed to
fucking
be like
night.
one. Yeah, it was supposed to be one continuous night. But now, since the pandemic happened
Mm.
in between like the first one and between kills and ends, they decided to make it like 5 years later,
I
which
think the
I don't know where they're
granddaughter
gonna
is
go
going to
with it.
be in a mental asylum.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Be
Her
interesting.
parents, both her parents are dead now.
Yeah. Maybe, maybe you get the same one with Michael.
Maybe.
That'd be pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your number 8?
Did you do your number 9?
Yeah, I already did my number 9.
Oh, that's right. You did. You did. My number 8 is I don't know if this is right. I feel like I typed this into my phone and I don't think this is right now. Uh, I think it's Tangina from Poltergeist is my number 8.
Oh,
It's
the
the
older
little
lady, right?
lady. Yeah. Because everybody knows who it is before you even get to it. And I will say that like Mary Beth, she's Joe Beth Williams. Joe Beth Williams and Craig T. Nelson are doing great jobs. They're doing all the work to keep it grounded and everything. But like when she comes into the movie, it becomes like an entirely different movie. Like people know that movie, people know that lady and that like character without ever having seen Poltergeist. This house is clean. It's great. I love it. She makes that whole like middle section like cook for me at least.
Right. Yeah, definitely an iconic character for sure. She's kind of underrated, unfortunately.
Yeah,
She's not like one of the first like characters you think of when it comes to, like
right.
84 movie characters. But she's pretty. I mean, but when you watch every time you watch that movie and you see that character, like, she makes an impact.
She's it. She is that character to me. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else and not thought like, oh, it's that lady from Poltergeist. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and it's that voice, man.
Yeah,
It really helps in capturing that character
right.
and
She gets
capturing the
real
atmosphere of it being creepy.
for sure, and she gets like real quiet, gets in close. I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
don't. Yeah, if you wouldn't have had that character or wouldn't have cast that character perfectly, then like the movie wouldn't have been what it is today.
oh yeah. Especially like that middle section where it's supposed to like they're really starting to ratchet everything up and it's supposed to
Mm,
get real creepy and they're about to go into the portal and all that sort of stuff. Like all that stuff, she sells it.
yeah. Do you believe that Steven Spielberg actually directed half that movie?
I've heard the stories. I don't know if I believe it because one, Toby Hooper said directed the whole thing. Greg has said that he directed the whole thing.
Mm.
I think his influence is felt throughout the movie,
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't know. I can only go on what they say. So like I'll just
It honestly feels
say
more
that
like a
Spielberg wrote the script and produced it.
yeah. It honestly feels more like a Spielberg movie than a Toby Hooper movie.
It does at times, but I mean, it depends on what Tobe Hooper movie you're watching too. So if it feels more like Funhouse than it does Texas Chainsaw. But
Yeah, yeah, and a little bit of Salem's Lot too.
sure, yeah,
Because like,
yeah,
cause Salem's Lot's like scary and spooky, but kind of like in a hokey Halloween
right,
way. But
right.
Texas Chainsaw is more like just gritty and fucked up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm on my number 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Mr. Dr. Van Helsing from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, nice, nice. You're
It's
going
not,
Anthony Hopkins version.
yeah, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be the first time that name's mentioned in this video. Um, or the last time.
Last time, yeah.
Yeah.
This will be the first time.
um, man, because usually when you think of this character, you think of like Peter Cushing, Edward Van Sloan.
Sure.
They bring a lot of gravitas to the character.
Right.
It's just weird. I just like
Oh
how
yeah.
like his character is just weird, and I didn't realize
yeah.
like Anthony Hopkins, like he's a method actor. I thought he was like classically trained. I think classically trained on the stage.
Of course, went to the theater and
Yeah.
trained that way. Yeah.
Ian McKellen, guys like those, Christopher Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love this character. He's so weird, and he was so perfect for what Coppola was doing. He was trying to take historical stuff for Vlad the Impaler, take Stoker's novel, and then do his own thing with that.
Mash them all together, and it's just like visually gorgeous, like the whole movie.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that movie. It's so good.
Even I love it. Even with
oh, sorry.
Or were you about to say Keanu Reeves' performance?
Oh yeah, he's terrible.
He's not great.
Fire in the Inferno.
He's just what you just shouldn't have been in that movie. But other than that, it's great. It's a great movie.
Yeah, they wanted Johnny Depp originally.
That would have made probably more sense. But
yeah, I think Coppola wanted Johnny.
Right.
But yeah, I mean Van Helsing. I think he's the best Van Helsing. He's so weird.
Oh yeah, strange cat. He's a weird cat.
What's your number 7?
My number 7 is, and I went back and forth a lot on on which character from this movie to pick, and I ultimately picked the character for the second that really comes into play in the second half of the movie when it's not really a horror movie and more of an adventure. But I picked Quint from Jaws.
Ooh.
Because of one, just the monologue he gives inside the boat, where they're talking about the sharks in the water. Such a good but that monologue is so good, his performance there. And he's so good at that character of playing like an old drunk, because he was an old drunk, but in real life,
he's British. That's the thing.
Yeah, but
really
like he was,
he's like this, like the sailor guy.
Oh, yeah, he's completely convincing as it. And then the fingernails on the chalkboard.
Yeah, that was appeared in SpongeBob.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, did you ever watch SpongeBob when you were younger?
Oh, I loved SpongeBob when I was a kid. Yeah, but I don't remember all of them.
So it was an episode when they're trying to get rid of that giant worm, and they're trying to figure out ways to do it. And now the one where that we have the classic line from Patrick, he's like, "Let's take the worm and put it somewhere else." And so, like in the middle of all the Bikini Bottom talking about how they get rid of the worm, you got like a Quint Lake character like scratching in the chalkboard. And he's like, and everybody's like, "Hey, what you doing here?" I'm like, "Oh, I just need to use your bathroom."
I haven't seen that, but I believe you, and I will go try to find it now.
Yeah, that
sounds
and
great.
also will have Norther Watts too in
Sure.
SpongeBob, for whatever reason.
SpongeBob is a classic, and I assume that there are far more references in there than I could ever have guessed when I was
I
a kid
guess
watching it.
Steven Hillenburg just really liked German expressionistic films.
Mm, true. Oh,
Yeah,
did you freeze? Oh, you're back.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, who's your number seven?
Okay, this might be the one I get the most hate on because
Ooh.
people are so mixed on this movie. Um, and it's from a director who kicked ass with his first two big hits.
Hmm.
Um, and then even with this movie, he was named the next Spielberg with, he kind of went downhill from there and it kind of went back up. And it's none
Sure.
other than Mr. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. And that's going to be Mel Gibson's character from Signs with Graham Hess.
Huh. All right.
I bet
I
he did
mean,
not see that coming.
I did not see that coming. But it's a good choice though. I mean, the his character in that movie is really well rounded.
Mhm.
And I love the idea of like a person questioning faith. There's so many movies that have that out there.
Yeah, I got another
But
character coming up.
but yeah, what are your thoughts on him? That's a
Um,
great choice.
I just love Mel Gibson in this movie. I think it's his best role, honestly,
Hmm.
because I think he's religious himself, despite some of the controversy. Um, but you really just feel like this guy who's just been broken down and felt
Hmm.
burnt by God.
Hmm.
Um, which is interesting because I was listening to this Christian horror podcast called Fear of God, where they about to review a bunch of horror movies through the lens of Christianity, which is really interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they say a lot of interesting stuff. I don't think they ever see God in this movie ever.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it, but
Yeah,
I would assume they say it right. Maybe they don't. That's
yeah.
crazy. They
Um,
talk a lot about faith and
yeah. Well, it's more about
huh.
faith and something.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
and I love that because like it's not like
Hmm.
cramming the Bible down your throat. I mean, you can
Right.
interpret this in any way you want, or it could be applied in your life any way you want.
Sure. Oh, and the theology or denomination at that point can be, it's not like
Right.
this is Christian God or,
Yeah.
you know,
Could I kind of blame my life that we're like not everything, but certain things, are just there for the betterment of you.
hmm
There's sometimes in my life where I believe, oh, this is a coincidence, but then there's other time where I think, no, this kind of had to happen. Like it was almost fate. And I think that's a really beautiful way of just kind of showing this with, his daughter being weird about her water, um,
right.
son having his asthma, and then the brother um, always wanting to swing the bat. Swing away, Mal. Swing
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's got a great climax. Like everything, um, it really just like what all the stuff you're talking about with like faith and everything, like it all that stuff up very nicely, a nice little pin. And it's also terrifying. Like the scene
Right.
with him like reaching under the door with the knife and like all the
Oh,
stuff
that
at the
mom,
end. Oof.
that scene scared the crap out of my mom.
That scene and the scene with like the found footage of like the alien walking by the birthday party. Ooh.
Right. But I
Ooh.
think I think the line that really like tells you like who this guy is at this point in his life is
Hmm.
when he's posing as the police officer when he had the alien in the cupboard and he
Hmm.
says, "Don't throw your life away, kid."
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that's a very convincing line for him because he feels like he threw his life away by believing in God, and then he took his wife from him.
Sure. Sure. No, I mean, like it's those first like three Shyamalan movies, are all solid. Like the first, like Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and Signs, all of them are solid. And then after then, it's been a great like increasing downhill slide for him. But those three, solidly written, well acted, amazing, sort of suspenseful, horror esque thrillers.
Right, and it's interesting because
Yeah.
you see the outline of the cross next to his bedroom.
Oh
And
yeah, where it'd been, and it's just yeah.
yeah, that's interesting because it took this extraordinary supernatural event to revival his faith in God again.
Sure.
But I think it's beautiful on it, and I think maybe that's part of why some people don't like it. Also, like there's some logistical stuff in there that people just don't buy into with the aliens. We first up again.
Oh, Drew, back.
Yeah, did you get all that?
Yeah.
Cool. What's your number 5?
We on 5 or 6?
No, we're on 5. No, we're
My
on 6.
number 5.
We're on 6.
My number 6 is Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs.
Classic.
Rewatched Silence of the Lambs recently. And Hannibal Lecter is the one most people probably talk about from that movie, but I will say that Jodie Foster holds her own against Anthony Hopkins. And all the stuff they do with like the male gaze in that movie is so real interesting. So a lot of like they're like talking is like all POV shots, like her getting in the elevator with like all those dudes. It's sort of the horror outside of just the serial killer aspects of the movie. There's these ideas of like what this lady kind of has to go through on a daily basis. Anyway, it's great. Like all of it's like super psychological, like thriller. And she holds her own. Like it's an amazing performance from a movie that still holds up. Like when was it made? 91, 90? Like
92.
Like 40 years later, 92. Yeah, crazy. Still holds up. Still thrilling. Like the whole ending where like the 1-2 punch with like Lecter gets out and then like they do that reveal on Buffalo Bill. Then she's at the right house. Like it's great. All good. I love it. Never gets old.
Right.
What's your number 6?
My number 6 is kind of going back to the same things as the same themes as Graham has from Science is Father Karras from The Exorcist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he almost made my list too.
Yeah, very similar situation where he's a man of God and faith, and but he loses somebody that he loved, and then it kind of demolishes that faith. In the case of supernatural event to revival it. But what I think why maybe he outranks Mel Gibson and Signs is due to the fact that Pazuzu is kind of like psychologically messing with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, by some of the very blasphemous things that I'm not going to repeat on here. You know what I'm talking about? If you've seen The Exorcist or something, like that's like the most like evil line, the most disgusting line I've ever heard in in any movie ever. That Pazuzu's messing with them. Like that he's all broken up and he lost his faith in God because he lost his mother. And then, to me, that's just I hate that line so much.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly what you're talking about. Like he the demon, if you will, is using that just to mess with him, just to make him question his faith even more. Because if he questions his faith more, then he can't save Reagan. So like it's all just mind games. It's like if he can just chip away at that faith, the further down that hole he slides.
Right, and this is another one where I recently listened to the Fear of God podcast episode of this movie, and they were talking about specifically like why characters are named certain things, and Karras was an interesting one because it sounds like care, like he caring for this family in a way.
Right, care us, like care for us. Yeah.
And even L.J. Cobb's character, his name is Kinderman, and he has a very childlike quality to him. Those are the one that really stood out.
Right.
Another thing I find interesting, and it was pointed out also in that podcast, was like a lot of the medical scenes in this movie was filmed very documentary-like because freaking William freaking came from a documentary background.
Huh. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it makes so much scarier. And I heard a lot of audiences, a lot of audience members ran out of the theaters for those scenes, not necessarily part when the demons being or possessing
Huh?
Reagan.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, which is interesting. Supposedly. What's number 5?
Let's see. My number 5 is R.J. McCready from The Thing.
Ooh, good one.
Because one, he's Kurt Russell,
Oh yeah.
and he was having like an amazing run with John Carpenter in the late 70s, early 80s. And it was to me, he's the level-headed guy who's trying to keep everyone alive.
Mm.
And paranoia is ripping that place apart. And he looks
He was
super
a
cool.
pretty level-headed,
He's
wasn't
Kurt
he?
Russell.
Keith David was pretty level-headed, if I remember right.
Sure, yeah, no, and so that's the thing is like at a certain point you start to even question whether he is the true protagonist or not because he
Right.
gets locked outside and they're like, I cut him loose, and I was like, well, can I trust Kurt Russell? Like we as an audience have been built up until that point
Mm.
for because he's a rock. So once they cut him loose, it's like, is he really the protagonist now? And
Right.
ultimately, he is, but like you start questioning at that point, and then you're like, who can I trust? Who is it? Which really ties back into all the
Mm.
themes of the movie of paranoia, of like not being able to trust anybody, not being able to like trust something you can't see, and it ties in like the AIDS epidemic that was happening
Right.
in the 80s
Right.
and all that sort of stuff.
You want
But yeah,
you want to know something funny about this movie is that you can take different horror movies and put them in different lists. But like,
hmm
what movie where the black guy or the black person dies? So you'd be like,
hmm
Dawn of the Dead, black guy dies. Get Out, black guy survives. The
right,
Thing, dubious.
yeah.
And you
Did
don't
he
know.
survive?
It's
Did
the
he not?
shapeshifter.
Sure. Is he the shapeshifter? Or neither one of them the shapeshifter? I like to think the end of the movie to me is that neither one of them are the shapeshifter, but they're just fucked either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that movie enough. I have to watch it a couple more times to really figure it out.
Oh yeah, I watch it every year. It's great.
The first time I thought I watched that movie, thought never crossed my mind until somebody brought it up.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it's dubious as far as whether the black guy or the black character survived or not. And then it's
Right.
one of the few, probably one of the only horror movies you really say that like it's in the dubious category of that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's debatable. It's up in the air with George
Yeah.
Clooney.
Who knows? There's no way to know. There's like literally no way to know.
Yeah. So, sadly, Gordon Gekko from Dusk Till Dawn's not on this list.
That's what is that your number 5?
No, it is. I wish it was. I forgot about him.
So you're like this is in your honorable mention category.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Number 5. Obvious because I love this movie. It's Amelia from Babadook.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Our
I'm not
paths
gonna
are crossing again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything there. Just watch our Babadook review. We talked about that movie for nauseum.
As
So
nauseum. Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go to
But
number
this
4.
is I will say though, one last
Oh
thing
yeah.
before we move on, real quick. And I struggled with this because I was like, at a certain point, she becomes the villain of the movie, and ultimately, the Babadook is probably her, at least her depression taking over. So I was like, is she the villain? And I struggled with that for a really long time.
I disagree there. I think he's kind of always the hero, but it's the Babadook's influence on her that making her do these things. That's my personal opinion.
Okay. I struggled with it. I went back and forth, but
Oh yeah.
ultimately, I ended on the same side that you were on.
Okay, Mr. Miyagi, with your racked on, racked off.
Wax off.
Oh, you watch Cobra
And
Kai?
say what up?
You
I
watch Cobra Kai?
haven't seen any of Cobra Kai.
So I gotta say, after season 3, I was getting worried because they were gonna do other seasons, and they left off season 3 that like season 4 was gonna be the very last season.
Mm-hmm.
But they left off season 4, and like I was like flabbergasted about how they ended it. I'm just gonna say that right there.
Okay.
Like, what?
I haven't seen it, but I need to catch up. People keep telling me to check it out.
It's amazing. It's on Netflix, so you have no excuse, man.
Oh, that's true. It used to be on YouTube, and I was like, I don't want to pay for YouTube Red or whatever it was. So
I hate commercials.
yeah. So,
Commercials.
but yeah, I need to catch up. I'm super behind, but hopefully here soon I'll get some time to catch up on all things that I've been missing out on.
Number four.
Number four, and we don't have to go super far into this because we've already talked about him a little bit. But it's Ash Williams from Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And it's Bruce Campbell. He's super cool. He's made it this far on steely good looks, a chin that won't quit, and being like an utter badass. So that's where I'll leave it. But that's number four is my Ash Williams Evil Dead.
Right. My number four, I'm gonna give you a hint. For even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night, but become a wolf when the wolf bane blooms and on the moon is bright. It is Larry Talbot from The Wolfman.
That sounds familiar. Oh, see, I knew he was going to show up somewhere. Okay, I thought he would be higher. In honesty,
and it's another one where is he the good guy? Is he the bad guy? I don't know.
Right.
I think he's ultimately the good guy because he didn't want this. He hates being the Wolfman.
Sure. He's his own worst. He's his own worst enemy, though, in some ways, you know.
And it's a Shakespearean tragedy. That's what I love about it. It's awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
And it mirrors Lon Chaney Jr.'s real life because his father didn't want him to become an actor, and you can see that as far you can see maybe he didn't want him to go through the same trauma, or maybe it was a jealousy thing, and he basically made him become a plumber. With that failed, and then he became an actor. He struggled for so many years, and then got the role of Mice and Men, but got him the roles in all these monster parts. But he really loved the Wolfman specifically because it really released all the anger. And for the longest time, he was the Wolfman. He was the only actor to play the Wolfman, Larry Talbot, until Benicio del Toro plays him. And maybe Ryan Gosling. I don't know if he's going to be Larry Talbot in this new Wolfman coming out. But yeah, I just love the Wolfman. He's my favorite. He's my favorite Universal horror monster.
Nice. I mean, yeah, that's great. My number three is Danny from Midsommar.
I meant Danny Torrance for a second.
No, not Danny Torrance. Danny from the female lead, Florence Pugh from Midsommar. And this is another one of those where it's like, by the end of it, is she the villain or is she the protagonist? But
I wouldn't know anything about that.
You haven't seen it yet?
No. I'm afraid to because I love Hereditary. It fucked me up. I can't watch that movie.
Yeah. I will say this one is not as. There's a really horrible scene in the middle of the movie.
Well, you say that. I'm gonna go into this movie. It's gonna mess me up even more.
It's hard. Great. But it is, to me, it's a little more palatable and
to digest.
Yeah, it's a little easier to digest, and it looks beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. Like all the stuff with the flowers and everything. Really playing like daylight there because it's always daylight for all their scenes in Sweden. I can't remember. But she's great. Like, this is the first thing I'd seen Florence Pugh in before now. And that character is so broken at the beginning, and to where she ends up, which I won't ruin, is a place that I don't know if she's any better or worse than she was at the beginning. I think she's better, but maybe not.
Right.
It's great. You should watch it. Who's your number three?
That's an interesting one. I did not expect that from you.
Yeah.
I mean, you love Midsommar, so.
I do love Midsommar.
Number three, it's gonna be Ripley Get Away from Her Bitch. Alien.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
I mean, when you think of like badass female, like she's on the top of the list. She's the queen. And then
for sure.
Probably next, and then you have like Princess Leia, and then like Sarah Connor.
Yep.
And I hesitate to put which version of Ripley, this one, the one in the first one, or the one in the second one. I kind of like them both.
Oh yeah, no, I would make the argument that 1 and 2 is like the same character
Mm,
at a complete like the full arc for that character. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like I feel like we get to know her a little bit in Alien, but they take that character and go someplace completely like fully expand her out in Alien. So I
Right.
would
Well,
say I would say that those two together are what it is
they never
for
meant
me.
for her to be the one that survived. It was supposed to be Dallas.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I knew that it was originally Ripley was originally written as a man's character.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, but they end up casting Sigourney Weaver for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it's she's great. She's the ultimate alien fighting badass who
Yeah,
can kill anything.
I just love Ripley, man. I know
Yeah.
if my mom was doing this list, if it'll be number one for her.
Oh, well, sounds like me and your mom have very similar tastes. I'm not gonna ruin anything, but uh,
She loves Ripley. I'm more of a
yeah.
Sarah Connor guy myself.
Okay.
Actually, I was before I started watching Stranger Things, and then Eleven is probably my favorite female badass of all time
Hmm.
because she didn't take shit from nobody.
I would make the argument if we were doing pure science fiction stuff, like Sarah Connor would probably be my top one. Sarah Connor from Judgment Day, like
Mm.
Terminator 2, classic.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But Eleven, I freaking love Eleven. I think she's an amazing character.
Yeah.
But it's hard, man. There's a lot. What's your number
Yeah.
two?
Well, so you see, this is where we start doubling up on our list a little bit. So number 2 for me is Amelia from Babadook, which we went into ad nauseum. If you want to listen to full 2 hours of us talk about the Babadook and Amelia and her character arc and all that sort of stuff, you can watch that. But it's just great. It's a character that starts with your sympathy and then does a full turn about midway through the movie, which is one of the best twists in any recent movie for me. Like it's something where they set up one character and completely reverse the roles of like
Right.
who you think is like out for the best things in the movie. So you
Mm.
set up like the kid as like the almost the antagonist to her happiness, and
Yeah.
then reverse it by the end. It's so good, so good.
Well,
Um,
I was thinking maybe that the kid was gonna all constantly be afraid of the Babadook, but it was really the mom because of that guilt.
yeah, right.
Yeah, so it was a convergence of expectations. Number two, gotta be Clary Starling from the
Uh,
Science Cult, The Lambs.
No, I know what you mean. I almost put Clarice a little higher on my list too, but ultimately she fell below all of these characters for me for some reason.
Yeah, I just love this character because like she's a woman in a man's world, a man's occupation,
Yeah.
and she really just goes like through the ringer, not physically but mentally and
Hmm.
emotionally.
Hmm.
Um, Especially when she goes into to meet Hannibal Lecter in the beginning of the
Hmm.
movie, and like if you think about it, each one of the prisoners she walks past is
Hmm.
one level above crazy.
Hmm.
So you have like the one guy saying hi to her, in a really cute
Hmm.
way, and then you have the other guy like saying that really
Mix.
crude sexual thing to her, and you just have
Yeah.
that one big guy that just stands there, and then you get to
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter,
Hmm.
like he just there's some personification of evil.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and he's all the rest of them are in bars too, right? Like they're all behind like bars,
Yeah,
like traditional bars, and he's behind like this
right.
plexiglass, which is
So they can easily grab her.
yeah, right. Like
Which is,
and
yeah, I
he
didn't think
himself,
about
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
it's like Dante's Inferno, the seven circles of hell.
Hmm. The
It's the
slow
one
descent
circle
into
goes
the
crazy.
full. Yeah.
Yep, and then the whole thing at the end with Buffalo Bill, I was on the edge of my seat. Like I knew about that scene because I seen a
Sure.
little. I didn't know how it ended. I did not want
Yeah.
Clary Starling to die in that movie, in that scene.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, she's like she's the beating heart of that film. She's what keeps it going. And Jodie Foster does an amazing job portraying her.
Oh
Like
yeah.
in honesty, like it's hard for me to watch like Hannibal or the TV version or any of the other like iterations of it
Mm,
because to me, like Jodie Foster is Clarice Starling.
right. So what is your number one? Let me do the run real quick.
All right. My number one is one you've already said. It is Ellen Ripley from
Yeah.
Alien and Aliens. And not so much Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection. Although I think Alien Resurrection is a weird, bonkers movie that holds up better than most people give it credit for. But no, it's 1 and 2 for me. And it's what we kind of talked about a little while ago about like that full arc of like getting to know her, to fully seeing her like take
Right.
on this complete badass. Yeah, Ellen Ripley for me. That's my number one hero.
That's not a bad one, man.
Yeah.
My number one is gonna be Hello, Sydney. Do you like scary movies? Sydney Prescott. If you did the little
You're like the top and the bottom. Scream. Like you were like number one Sydney, number 13 was
yeah, but they're
Gail
not
and Dewey.
but Sydney Prescott, I love her. Because usually a lot of times in these slasher movies, the final girl and even all the characters, like they're kind of boring. Really?
Yeah, just generic like throwaway sort of people. Yeah.
Who gives a shit about Alice in the original Friday the 13th? I like Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle is awesome. He's like all of us.
Tommy Doyle is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sydney, man, he just goes for a lot. She, basically watched her mother die, kind of. Her boyfriend's a psychopathic killer. His mom's after her. She finds out she has a long lost brother or nephew's after her, and then she thinks it's over for 10 years, and then it happens again in the new one.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy.
Always. Yeah. She's always the best part, and I think this plays a lot into Neve Campbell's performance of her too, is that she's vulnerable, but she can also just kick ass if she has to.
Right.
Which I think is great. Like it makes her relatable on an emotional level, but also she's like she can take care of business. She can do it.
Right. But here's the thing, and that's another reason why I like her. She's just a cog in Ghostface's microscopic plan, designed and directed by his red right hand.
That's exactly it.
Yep. Going a little Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I loved how they played that in the new movie. I thought that was so awesome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, I didn't realize how much that song resurfaces in all the other movies.
Yeah, they don't
until
play
I rewatched them all recently. They play it. Do they not play it at the very end, or is that 3?
No,
I can't remember now.
No, they play in all.
You're right.
Before. But that part, that specific line, they do it in a particular Ghostface moment. It's during the Ghostface moment,
Sure.
like kill. I'm just gonna say that they don't do it any other time in that kind of scenario. But that particular line, like it was so beautiful how they coordinated it to that part of the song. Because I think that's like the key part of the whole song.
Sure. Okay.
In my opinion.
That's great.
Yep. Awesome song.
I'm looking forward to see the new Scream now.
Yeah. If you want to hear me gush about Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, watch our top 13 favorite songs to listen to in October video. God is good.
And you can listen to them any time of the year. You don't have to listen to them in October.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more fun to listen to in October, and even leading up to October, like in September or July.
Start early. Let's start now.
Yep. Yeah. Me, every day's Halloween.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do villains real quick.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want me to start with number 13?
Yeah.
Number 13 on my list is my favorite sort of. I guess he would be a demon. I don't know what you would consider him. Number 13 on my list is Pinhead, and specifically Pinhead from Hellraiser and Hellbound, right? Hellraiser 2. Do I know?
He's a Xenobite, right?
A Cenobite, yeah, but I don't know. What do you consider a Cenobite? Are they demons, or are they people who've been made into demons?
That's what I would call it.
Hard to describe what they are. Either way, like the whole like ideology behind the Cenobites and pain and pleasure and all that sort of stuff is really messed up, and I don't know. I love it. it's such an interesting avenue into sort of like horror that like Cloud Blocker took. That it's not just like a slasher movie, or it's not just like a monster movie. It's like somewhere in between. That's far more like sexual and graphic than
Right.
you want to really admit that you kind of enjoy watching. So,
do I
who's your
look
number
like
13?
someone who thinks like God thinks? Classic line. Even though I'll probably never watch Hellraiser because that stuff freaks me out.
It's great. The first two are amazing. I love the first two. Three's terrible. Four gets even worse, and it's just further down the hill after that. But like
Right.
first two, love the first two.
My 13 is gonna be a character from a classic movie where it's a classic line. That where it's what a perfect day for exorcism, and that could be Pazuzu.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Again,
Pazuzu from you're talking Pazuzu from Exorcist 2, right? The Heretic.
oh hell no. That freaking Pink Floyd music video, weird, whatever, trippy.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's
Yeah,
not good.
yeah, that's a weird, that's a weird movie. No, I mean, I won't linger too much. It's just the fact that like he just or this demon gets into Karen's head, and
Yeah.
I mean the makeup too on the Blair was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. You can never make that movie today, honestly. You literally can never
Not
make that.
probably have the same effect. No, I mean it came out like probably the perfect time for it. Like in the 70s were all about like the fear of the satanic taking over their
Right.
children. That in the
It really
80s,
started
that
in the
spilled over in the
60s,
80s.
really.
Right. Right. Oh yeah, like the Manson murders and everything. Like probably all began from there.
Yeah, because that kind of destroyed the whole nuclear family kind of ideal America kind of thing. But that part with the crucifix, the reason why William freaking did that, or why William Peter Blatty put that in there, is because the mom is atheist, and then
Mm.
she's seeing this really vile thing happening to this holy object, and it kind of like really like shifts things perspective for what I thought was pretty interesting. I didn't really think about. I didn't really know that.
Oh man, that scene is it's hard to watch. Like I will say that the rest of the movie to me is not very scary.
Oh, the
Um,
rest of them, I find, and I think it's pretty shocking because I find older movies more shocking. I'm like anything pre 1980, because I'm
sure.
like, what? You're allowed to say that back then?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Like
like the
there's some.
really blasphemous things he said to Karis about his mom.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're allowed to say that back in the late or the early 70s? That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
But what's your number
Horrible,
12?
terrible things. Number 12 is, and this could be considered a protagonist. And I went back and forth on it for a very long time. But ultimately, number 12 on my list is Herbert West from Reanimator,
So
because in that movie he would technically be the villain, and we do have a protagonist. So and he's ultimately the one, like his pursuit is kind of good, is that he's trying to fulfill further science, and he's trying to reanimate corpses, bring back life and everything, but he does it in all the wrong ways. And he's a lot of fun. He's played by what's his name?
Oh,
Lost.
Jeffrey Combs.
Jeffrey Combs. Yeah, Jeffrey
Yeah, and
Combs.
he was the voice of the Scarecrow in Batman the Animated Series in season 3.
Right. Yeah, and so like he just chews it up. He eats all the scenery. He's great. It's a lot of fun, and it's really
What do
gory.
you know? You're just a talking head. Get a size sewed in profession.
What's your number 12?
Number 12 is gonna be. I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
A statistic go. One's for the Tessie. I just liver with some papadine and a nice Cayenne.
This is where our lists are connecting again, but just at different points.
Hannibal Lecter, classic horror villain. Nothing else to say there.
Yeah. Watch the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. It's great. He's like one of the top scariest performances of all time.
I had that on Criterion.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't have the Criterion version of it. I've just got a regular old Blu-ray. But yeah,
It's pretty good. That's my favorite Criterion. That was probably, I don't know what my favorite Criterion Blu-ray would be. I gotta think about that one. Maybe
I've got quite a bit.
I like
Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai. Yeah, Seven Samurai is great. I think my favorite one is I've got Repo Man with Emilio Estevez and Harry Dean Stanton, and there's a TV version of it on that disc where they play the version that was edited for television, and so they replace all the curse words. I can never hear somebody say a MFer without hearing Melon Farmer in my head now, because that's what they used to replace.
I have
like Melon Farmer. It's great.
On the Sal Beckley version of the thing I have. Yeah, it has a TV version of it from the 80s.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It removed all the awesomeness out of it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, what? It's 20 minutes long.
Yeah. What's your number 11?
Number 11 is this is it's a character that's very similar to another character that is on my list as well, and it's one of the few times that a Stephen King piece shows up on here. But this is Mizra's Carmody from The Mist, which sort of ties back into what you were talking earlier about the idea of religion and sort of weaponizing. She uses it to weaponize it for her own means in that movie.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that when we did our top 5 Stephen King.
And it's and so she's the way that character uses fear and faith to sort of like whip this crowd into a frenzy and turn them all against one another is great. And she really just does it probably for just because she wants the power. She wants to feel like she's in charge.
Like that probably would happen if we ever enter like the zombie apocalypse or the alien apocalypse or whatever. That would be a person that would divide people, knowing how things are now.
Exactly. Yeah, and to me, she's the most terrifying of like characters, and the person who can like completely convince people to do her bidding for no reason other than just because he wants to.
Yeah, I never seen The Mist. I seen that clip with her in it. I would imagine she would be 10 times scarier than the monsters in that movie.
Oh yeah, she is. She's like, I mean, she's the real monster by the end of the movie.
Right. You're supposed to send me your copy to borrow. You never did.
Was I? Did I? I don't remember. I believe you. I believe you though.
Yeah, I'll send you my new address after that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get started. Send it back in pristine condition.
All right. What's your number? What's your number 11?
My number 11 is gonna be. I'll give you another hint. It's gonna be. Dun, da, 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 da. Phantom of the Opera.
The opera. Yeah.
Yeah, the Lon Chaney version specifically. Battle about music.
Okay. I was wondering. Yeah. You talking about the Gerard Butler one from like?
Oh God! Don't get me started on that. Here's miscast. So the one with Hugh Jackman, my boy, the sexiest man alive, in my opinion. I got a man crush. I'm like, oh my God. But anyways, Lon Chaney, I mean, the best Phantom ever, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's brought so much gravitas to the character, and like Wolfman, he's a tragic character, really. But I think he leans more villain, because he does more villainous things. And he didn't have a lot of remorse for it.
Right.
Unlike Larry Talbot. But I mean, he's just amazing.
Right. Phantom. I need to do iconic.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you. I want to do a cosplay of the Red Death from Phantom of the Opera one year.
Okay. You should do it.
But I don't know if I want to do it like masked, like do like the Skeletor He-Man thing, or to do it unmasked.
Do both. Put the mask on, but then have like the full-on Skeletor thing underneath.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So you could take it off, or you could leave it on.
Yeah. So number 10. I'm sorry we're trying to get through this as quickly as possible.
No, it's cool. Number 10 on my list is it's one of my favorite all-time villains, Candyman from Candyman. The original, although I think the new one's pretty good too. But yeah, Candyman, and this really goes back to like deep-seated childhood fears. Freaked me out as a kid, and I really can't shake some of that earlier stuff. Even though the B stuff is kind of silly now, but just the idea of a man with a bloody hook for a hand.
So you forever have a fear of mirrors.
No, not necessarily of mirrors, but mostly of finding someone's wiener cut off in a gas station bathroom. That's usually the main fear here from
I
that
don't remember
movie.
that. I don't remember
It's all
that.
implied. It's all implied, but that's what one of the stories that Helen was
Oh
told
yeah, I need to
by
watch
one of
it.
the, yeah.
And
But it's great. It's great. Like, yeah, Tony Todd's amazing as
Gone.
the villain, and it's one of those ones where for a long while we don't even delve into like the horror parts of it. It's just
Right.
yeah, it's great. It's a great
Well,
movie.
he's
And it's a
gonna
great
be
villain.
he's the voice of Venom in the new Spider-Man game that's coming out.
Oh, really? Didn't know. That's cool.
But yeah, I like how Ted Raimi is in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, trying to play like a tough greaser.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's like wearing a
Man,
leather
it's Ted
jacket.
Raimi. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, he looks like a Muppet. It's great.
My number 10, I'm gonna give you another musical hint.
Okay.
Boom, 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 boom.
Is this the thing?
Well, yeah, it's a thing.
Nice.
As soon as it did, one of the greatest like horror things of all time. Because when I hear that,
yeah.
I just get paranoid. Back when I was watching disses at my local college, I was listening to horror themes.
Mm-hmm.
In October, and I thought everybody, like all my employees, were like out to get me when I was listening to that. Like, it's so effective. I just, ugh. But anyways, I just love the thing, man. Not necessarily like what it means per se, like the meaning behind the character with the paranoia. It's the effects, man.
Mm.
The effects are highlight, and the messaging is cool about paranoia and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like the effects, man, by Rob Bottin, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, and those things still like hold up to this day. It's amazing how like great some of them still look like 40 years on. And those are the thing to me. Like when it starts tearing it pieces apart and all that sort of stuff, it's great.
Right. What's your favorite special effects moment in that movie?
To me, the one that always gets me is it's the defibrillator on the chest when it like cracks open. That's the one that's like to me, I don't exactly understand even how it's even physically possible for them to do that effect.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's still kind of mind-boggling how that thing like breaks open. It's great.
My favorite is always going to be the blood test. It's that the way the whole thing's set up.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's classic like Africa Scott suspense. I love
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, and they like introduced that fake hand like a few shots before,
Oh
just to
really?
get you used to seeing it. Yeah, so like there's that like fake hand that Kurt Russell has where it like jumps up out of. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like when he like yeah. So like they introduce that fake hand like 3 shots before it actually like pops out. So it gets you like thinking about it like as that's his real hand without the effect happening. So that when it does jump out, it's even more shocking.
That's the thing about those kind of jump scares is you don't know what it's gonna look like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be anything. This iteration of it could be completely different from what you saw a few 20 minutes ago.
Right. Number 9.
Number 9 on my list is sort of delving a little more into the horror comedy bits of it, but Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, the Rick Moranis version, is my number 2 villain, or number 9 villain for
surprising
all time.
one.
Yeah, no, I love that movie. It's such a great
It's
such a great fun like musical with like amazing special effects. Like the effects, the practical effects they had in that for like 86 are like still hold up very well. And so like who doesn't like a singing plant with like the voice of one of the Four Tops singing about taking over the universe? Great.
My number 9 is from a David Fincher movie. I was originally gonna go with my favorite Fincher movie with
Yeah.
Zodiac, but since it's actually based off of true stories of people that actually got killed by the Zodiac killer, out
Yeah.
of respect of the victim that ended up surviving those killings, and then the family or the loved one, the family members
Mm-hmm.
decided not to go with that. But I'm gonna
That's
go
fair.
with John Doe from Seven.
Okay.
Again, using religion as a weapon. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
love that whole
Oh
idea.
yeah.
And it's just his whole philosophy is so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But the
Oh,
people
and like
out
all
there, it's crazy.
right, all it's all so grimy and everything, and the fact that we don't even get to know who that we slowly get to know who the person is and his methodology, like through the kills themselves. It's great. It's great,
Um,
like setup.
and it's not above a joke because when they actually get to the site and they see that the dead animal on the road, he's like, "I didn't
Yeah.
do that."
Right. Right.
Yeah, awesome. Number 8. Which number 8?
My number 8. This is really the only monster I have on my list.
Interesting.
But it's my favorite Universal horror villain, and it's Gilman from
Yeah,
Creature
knew
from
that
the
was
Black
coming.
Lagoon. Um,
Is he a villain
one
really?
See, that's the thing too. Like, is he a villain? He's definitely not the hero. I would say that.
Yeah, that they have the main
So
hero.
right, so he's not the main hero, but I will say he's a sympathetic monster, like
Right.
Frankenstein, I guess. If you consider Frankenstein the villain of that movie, or is Frankenstein monster the villain of that movie, or is Frankenstein the villain? Anyway, you can go back and forth all day on it. But
Right.
I would say Gilman because it's indelibly like scorched in my brain, like a 3D version I watched on television as a
Mm,
kid, and the suit looks amazing, and it's just my favorite.
right. My number 8 is gonna be Count Orlok from Nosferatu.
Nice,
So I can't
nice.
say that without reference SpongeBob. Um, I mean, probably the most accurate version of Stoker's description.
Sure, sure.
In the original book, Matt Frank just puts a lot of this physical, you know, appearance in it.
Hmm.
Um, and then kind of like Long Chain with Phantom. And I actually also watched the remake of it with
Werner
Klaus
Herzog.
Kinski.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Klaus Kinski. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. He was
Uh,
really good, but I mean, Matt Frank is amazing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's night and day. Like you can't really prefer one or the other. He's doing a great job.
Hmm.
Klaus,
Well, I
Klaus
think
Kinski's doing a great job, but he's no Max Shrek.
yeah, I think Kinski is more like sympathetic. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Shrek's more of a villain. Did you ever see Shadow of the Vampire, the Will
Oh, I
Dafoe
love
one?
that movie.
It's great. Yeah.
What the hell? Why didn't the Bow win the Oscar? It went to James
Uh,
Broadbent for Iris. Who gives a shit about that movie? Nobody talks about it.
I've never seen that movie,
Yeah, yeah.
but good
Willem
for Jim
Dafoe should have
Broadbent, I
won
guess.
it. Dude,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you didn't even get nominated for the Lighthouse.
No,
Like,
Lighthouse only got nominated for like cinematography. The cinematography is amazing in the movie, so I can see why.
oh yeah,
But
yeah. I forgot to mention. I would imagine that like Willem Dafoe got his inspiration from Quint from Jaws for that movie.
hmm, hmm, interesting.
Yeah. Number 7. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is my second Stephen King antagonist on this, and it is Annie Wilkes
Oh, me
from
too. I
Misery.
have it on there.
Is that your number 7 too? Crazy. Yeah, I mean Annie Wilkes.
Didn't
She's
make it out of the duty car.
right. Yeah, Cock-a-doodie. She's just such a bizarre, terrifying person. Someone who believes in their own mind that the best thing for someone else is for them to remain crippled and in that other person's carriage. Really terrifying. And James Caan holds his own against
Oh
her,
yeah,
but
for
like
sure.
Case is like crazy.
I just thought about something about her using the word cocky duty. Do you know
Hmm.
how she's against saying like curse words, and she would
Sure,
have to
sure.
make up curse words? I think saying cock a doodie gave her excuse to say a slang term for the male genitalia.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if you put out a duty, then you know what you get.
sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's no telling what she wanted. Like, she's a crazy person,
Yeah,
and
yeah, she's in the worst of
it's
the book. After
right, and
speaking
it's
in the top five
terrifying
teams.
situation. Yeah, terrifying situation to be in, for a writer,
Hmm.
for a fan who thinks they know what they want from an artist, and to go to such an extreme. Um, it's crazy,
Right.
but it's great, and she's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So we'll skip my number 7 since it's the same one. If you
Same
don't
thing.
mind, can I go ahead and do my number 6?
Sure, go
Yeah.
for it.
It's gonna be a little do Michael Myers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love the whole idea of the shape, and there's no like really rhyme or reason why he's doing these
Yeah.
things. Of course, Rob Zombie messed all that up when he did the
Right.
remake.
Okay.
But I just like the whole Michael Myers thing. Now when they tried to explain it, I didn't really like it, and like
No.
Christian Michael Myers and whatnot. But like Michael Myers in the original and then the last two were like
Yep.
amazing. I
Oh,
think
I agree.
yeah, I think Jai Jude Courtney like definitely honored Nick Castle and John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I love. I agree, and I think the shape, like the original, the idea of a faceless man silently stalking you and stabbing you to death is something that never gets unscary.
yeah. One the thing I didn't really like 2018 that much when I first
Hmm.
watched it. When I watched it the second time, watched it for Halloween Kills. That part
Hmm.
when he's like roaming the streets of Haddonfield, and then he kills like those two people, like that one continuous saw. I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
god, like I freaking love this movie. This movie's amazing. Because
Oh yeah, no, that
aspect of like that idea of like a serial killer being out on the scariest night of the year.
sure.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that so much. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is someone we've
Michael
already talked
Myers.
about. It's not Michael Myers, oddly enough, but it is Hannibal Lecter from Silence
Okay.
of the Lambs, which is great. It's a great movie. He's only in the movie for like 20 something minutes, but he completely like steals the show for any bit of screen time he's there.
Yeah, I think
And it's
also Lanchester from Bride of Frankenstein got him beat by 15.
oh really?
Yes, he's only in that movie for like 5 minutes, probably even less.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize
And
that.
he's like the only female Universal monster.
Right, right. Yeah, I guess she is only in the movie. I mean, you think of all the clips from it, and I guess it is just that last like climax.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson's gonna be playing her in a A22 version of that film.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That'll be interesting. I don't
That
know
will
who's
be
directing
interesting.
it, but
Interesting to see
yeah,
if that.
sorry I interrupted your thing.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Hannibal Lecter, it's crazy. We already talked about him. He's great. It's a good performance. I prefer this one over any of the other iterations of like Red Dragon or Hannibal or any of those.
Right.
It just wasn't as scary, and it's always something about the idea of like a caged beast
Mm,
versus like something that's out in the wild. So I don't
right.
know.
I
It's great.
didn't like Ralph Fiennes in Red Dragon. That scene
Ralph Fiennes is great in Red
when
Dragon.
you're trying to staple Phil Seymour Hoffman's eyelids open. That was I hate that. It was so
Oh yeah.
ugh.
You ever see Manhunter, the Michael Mann
I need to
one
watch
from
that.
the 80s? It's
I
good.
think
It's good. It's not as it's Brian Cox's Lecter in that one.
yeah, I think clips of it, and I like how he's more direct, which is
Yeah,
interesting. Where Hopkins is more theatrical, but
yeah,
Matt Mickelson is more subdued in the
sure.
Still Hannibal, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, good pick. My number 5 is Bubba Duke. Duke. All right, just watch our 2-hour review of the Bubba Duke. I'm not gonna talk about them. Yeah, just watch a review for it. So on to what's your number
Babadook's
five?
great choice. Yeah.
Oh,
My number five is the
the
tall
Babadook.
man from the Phantasm movies.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's not Babadook. Although Babadook didn't even, I will say Babadook didn't make my top villains
What?
list.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, but Amelia did.
All right,
It
that's direct
didn't.
three. We're done.
Well, it's been fun talking to you guys.
I'm kidding.
But Tall Man from the Phantasm movies is my number five. And this is another one that goes back to like um nostalgia from like being a kid and seeing like that first Phantasm movie. This absurdly tall man carrying a giant casket with his bare hands. Um, it's weird. It's not very scary, but he is iconic, I think, as someone who is a pursuer in a movie like this. And it gets more ridiculous and crazier in the sequels.
Right. He seems like
But
he's
yeah, Tallman.
a lot like the character you pick for Poltergeist. We don't immediately
Yeah,
think at that character when you think of like
right.
horror heroes or villains or whatever it may be. But like
Hmm.
when you get to him, like, oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah, Tall Man.
Yeah.
Forget about Tall Man.
I need to,
Everyone
I need
forgets
to
about
watch
Tall
the
Man.
Phantasm movies one of these days.
So the first one's great. The second one's not great. The third one's great again. The fourth one, not great. But then no, the fourth one is pretty good, and then the fifth one is okay. So really, like the second one's the only one that's kind of bad, but the second one's the only one they had budget for. Because
Okay.
the Universal in the late '80s was buying up all like the independent horror movies, and they were like, "We'll
Um,
give you $10 million to make your own movie."
they
It's great.
they
Don
helped John Carpenter
Coscarelli.
make his first studio movie
Yeah, yeah.
with made us
Um,
disenfranchised with the whole studio system.
sure, of course.
Yeah,
But yeah,
also
yeah.
behind the
So like,
scenes of little not Big Trouble in Little China about more
mm.
information about that. Um,
But yeah, Tall Man, number five,
yeah,
or yeah, number five,
yeah. My number four is Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Yeah,
Oh, see, I thought he would be higher on your list.
oh yeah, yeah. Not any particular Ghostface, just the persona of
Mm,
Ghostface. I love that.
sure. Oh yeah, no, it was iconic, especially in like the '90s when that first two came
Yeah,
out. Couldn't
yeah,
escape it. It was everywhere.
yeah. And I would even make an argument that the Ghostface mask is more Halloween than the Michael Myers mask.
I will say for like
He's supposed to be like a
newer
ghost.
generations, yeah, of course. And I will say for like newer generations, it is easily more recognizable than Halloween. It's been up until probably at least the Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
Right, and it can be anybody. That's what I like about it. And
Right, exactly.
when I think about Halloween, I think about Ghostface, like the Ghostface
Hmm.
mask. And then the thing about it, like Michael Myers is just like you said, a William Shatner mask, spray painted white.
Sure, yeah.
And all I think
Yeah.
of is like phasers and Klingons.
Right, right. It's hard to be scared by those.
Right. What's your number four?
My number four is a little man with knives for hands, Freddy Krueger
Ooh.
from Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, yeah. And you know, like some people love early Freddy, who's a little more serious, a little more scary, or it's a little more silly Freddy, who's popping off one-liners and dispatching teenagers. I like them all. I love them all. I will
Oh yeah.
watch any of them. They I love these movies in particular because they were so inventive with how they dispatched teenagers. Because I mean there's so many of like the Halloween or the Friday the 13th movies that were not necessarily less inventive, but they just weren't built around these sort of like dream sequences, these phantorgasm esque sort of anything can happen. That's he can do anything in a dream, and he's
Mm-hmm.
great. I love it.
Yeah. Number three for me is gonna be the Xenomorph from Alien.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I think it's just like the most violating, like most repulsing villain ever.
Sure.
And there's something a little kind of sexual there.
Oh yeah, especially
Male, and then it impregnating you.
yes,
Um,
100%.
yeah, and I just love the design of it. Like in the first one, it's just a dude in a costume. It's just a really tall, skinny dude in the costume.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all the HR Geiger, like all those HR Geiger, like drawings, like they're overly like these like
Right.
weird machine alien sexual beings and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And it's nightmarish, but also at the same time kind of sexy. It's weird. It's a weird mix, and
Oh yeah.
it's terrifying because he is just sort of like an insect. Like he's
Hmm.
just feeding and he's just looking for new life, and there's no reason to him. You can't reason with this creature like you
Right.
could like Hannibal Lecter.
And
Like
you're
he's gonna try to kill
wearing
you
the
regardless.
Momo hat, right?
I am.
Yep. Pretty cool. Where did you get
Yeah.
that?
I got it last year, I think, sometime last year.
I want to get one of those. That's pretty dope.
You can find them on Amazon. Pretty sure that's where I ordered this one.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to plug Amazon, so
Yeah.
whatever. But you
Yeah.
can find it online.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 4 more months to my birthday. I'm just fun. I know I keep enticing you to get me stuff for holidays. Um, what's number 3?
My number 3 is a little is a special person who likes to wear people's skin on his face, and it's not Ed Gein.
Oh,
It's Leatherface
okay.
from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this is first Texas Chainsaw, maybe 2, although 2 I consider almost a comedy, and not Leatherface, not any of the remakes. Oh yeah, but original Chainsaw, because it's so like gritty and gross and feels like a documentary. Yeah, he's just that dance at the end, so good. And it's because
It was
I
so
think,
weird too.
oh yeah, it's very strange. They don't try to put any. What's great about the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is they don't try to put any backstory onto it, or they don't try to put reasoning really behind it. It's all subtextual that these family of cannibals are killing people and then eating them and feeding them as barbecue to the state.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the original Texas Chainsaw. I like the sort of like feel a movie. Like it's very like it looks like it could have happened, or like it's
yeah,
like really happening. Um,
right.
by the end of the movie, like it becomes way too much for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
why
it's a
I think you froze up again.
it's a nuts movie that always. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Chainsaw is always a movie that in my head is so much more violent than it actually is.
Hmm.
Because they originally wanted it to be like PG, and it was just too much, so it ended up being rated R. Just because of its just gritness. What's your number 2?
I'm gonna give you another hint with the line. Now
What is it?
this is God.
It's
Frank
Krueger.
Hugo, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the rock star of the horror villains. I feel like because he's
Yeah.
just cool, man. He's just some
It's got personality. Yeah.
yeah. I watched a video recently where this guy made an argument that Tina's death in the first Elm Street is like the best horror movie death of all time, and he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about specifically that line. Now this is God, and that's a line that we
Mm-hmm.
tend to like kind of overlook, but it has so much
Mm-hmm.
meaning because he's technically a demon hellspawn kind of thing, but he's an opposite of God, but in this world he's God. Like he's your
Oh yeah.
harbinger of death, basically.
Right.
Like
Within
you're
your
screwed.
dream, he can do anything. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's the creator of your dreams at that point, or your nightmares.
Yeah, and then and you barely see him in the first one, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's like this mysterious figure, and then as the series
Mm-hmm.
goes on, you just learn more and more about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love his personality, and Robert Englund, man, he's just amazing.
Sells it. It's perfect.
There's
Yeah.
so much personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your number 2?
My number 2, and this one is sort of like skirting the line from. I consider it a horror movie in a lot of ways, but it's Frank Booth from the movie Blue Velvet. And it's Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet. It
That's
is
that Dennis Hopper
his
character, right?
yeah, his performance is terrifying. Yeah. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I mean.
Yeah, I know that. I
He
know that man with the mask.
he's completely unhinged, and it's one of those ones where it feels dangerous because there's
Mm,
no telling what he will do next.
right.
Because he starts out so over the top,
I
so violent,
I've
so
never seen any David Lynch
yeah.
movies.
Blue Velvet, that's the one. If you're looking to start, I would start there. But yeah, it's rough, but it's
Yeah,
great. And he's a great villain because once you know good ultimately wins, it feels cathartic. Like you feel
right.
like yeah, they really have wiped evil from the world. He is in some ways the most evil person I've ever seen in a movie.
Or like, I
But
can't
yeah,
think
somewhere too, Frank Booth. Yeah.
Kyle MacLachlan was in that. Who was the bleeding lady in that movie?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern. Yeah, that's right. That's
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
And then my number one is gonna be another. I'm gonna give you another hint because a
Okay.
boy best friend is his mother, Norman
Oh,
Bates.
Norman Bates.
Norman Bates, man.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I mean, Psycho was like the first like real horror movie that I watched that I fell in love with.
Sure.
And I just love Anthony Hopkins, man. Just the little tick that he does. Like I think um like he stutters a lot with I think
Hmm.
was Anthony Perkins idea.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Because he's a very nervous character, kind of neurotic character anyways.
Hmm.
I love his whole philosophy about like being trapped. Like we're all trapped in our little island.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
all well interesting. Because like what's more scary than the human mind?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
nothing
nothing.
really. I mean, if you think about it, yeah, you can be trapped in your own cages, like what he's talking about with the islands and everything. Like he feels completely contained within that like hotel and like his mom's grasp, even though she's dead. He's trapped. He's trapped with her.
Yeah, that whole speech is amazing. Probably my favorite like speech in any movie. Or just like dialogue scene.
Interesting.
It's just so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love Norman Bates. He's just
Have you watched Bates Motel? Have you watched the
I
TV
loved it.
show
I
Bates
loved it.
Motel? See, I never watched it. I heard a lot of good things about it. I heard a lot of good things about the first couple seasons. It gets a little ridiculous near the end, but
Yeah, it's
um,
freaky how much Freddie Highmore like looks and acts like Anthony Perkins from the original.
okay,
Yeah, it is freaky.
nice.
My
I
mom,
need
my
to check
mom
it
really
out.
liked it
I'll
too.
put it on the long list.
Yeah,
Nice.
my
I need to
mom,
put it on my long list of things that I need to finally catch up on.
and like Veer Farmiga was amazing in that movie, and then that show.
Yeah, yeah.
He only got nominated for like the first season. I thought he's been nominated for like at least the last season.
Mm.
Because
How
that's
many
when
seasons did it run for? It did run for like 4 or 5 seasons, didn't
yeah,
it?
5 seasons.
Nice.
Well, at that point, spoiler alert. You probably can already guess. She's already
Right.
dead at that point, so it's only her through Norman's perspective,
Mm.
which is interesting.
Oh, interesting. That is interesting. Huh. Okay.
Yeah, without that with it, and you kind of see that dynamic because she's
Hmm.
really not as overbearing as you might think she is in real life. It's just Norman's
Right.
perception of her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It completely just changes the way I look at the original Psycho. I'm like, well,
Interesting.
is he really kind of that bitchy towards her,
Right.
towards him,
Right.
or did he thought he was?
Right. His interpretation of her.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, Norman Bates. What is your number one?
Nice.
And then we can wrap this shit up.
Okay. My number one, and this goes back to sort of the theme for most of these, is that it's about a character who starts as really as your protagonist and ultimately becomes the villain by the end of the movie. And it is
Norman Bates.
Seth Brundle. No, it's not Norman Bates, but it's Seth Brundle from The Fly. Jeff
Yeah, I
Goldblum
really
one.
thought about that.
Yeah, so he ultimately at the beginning of the movie, he's the protagonist. He is the leader of he's guiding us as an audience into the movie. His what he's trying to do is very altruistic, and he's trying to further science and all that sort of thing.
Mm.
And through his hubris and all that, and his desire for it, he becomes ultimately the monster, like a physical full on like monster by the end of it. So it's like he goes from a human form to completely animalistic, and his desires are just for procreation, just to move and get his seed out there. And it's great. Again, this goes back to sort of what you're talking about with the thing about special effects, like selling everything, and just being really like grotesque and repulsive when he throws up on that donut.
Mm.
It's great. It's one of those ones where you you sympathize with him and you understand where he's coming from to the point where he full on becomes a villain, and then
Correct.
there's that break. I love it. I think it's great. It's a movie that still holds up to me. It's like one of my favorite Cronenberg movies.
Yeah. So I didn't know if you knew this, but Universal
Mm-hmm.
Studios just opened up a horror theme store. This is
Mm-hmm.
the one in Orlando, right? And they actually have the teleporters.
Whoa,
Yeah, that's pretty
that's nice.
dope.
Does they work?
They don't. You can walk into them and they actually have a little fly.
Oh, okay, cool,
And
very
I'm like,
cool.
that's pretty dope, man.
That is awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, this has been a good video. It went longer than I wanted it to go.
Sure, it always does.
Yeah. They didn't go 3.5 hours like Lord of the Rings, but
Right, right, right.
yep. But yeah. So I'm just gonna that was the fun video. Definitely with a few surprises on your end. I don't know if
Yeah.
with me.
Few curveballs here and there. There were some things I thought was going to rank higher on your list that ended up ranking lower, and vice versa, I assume.
Right. So a little quick update on the schedule. Sometime later this month or early next month, the first week before the new Batman movie comes out. I think we already said this. We're gonna do a Batman quiz, and you just wrote me a ton of Batman questions.
I've got a bunch. I feel like you're going to know a lot of these, but
Okay.
I'm digging. I'm digging. I'm going to find some to stump you with.
Yeah, I didn't get writing for you because I know you're not, like I don't know if you're a huge Batman fan, but everyone knows I'm the Batman guy.
Sure, you're definitely the Batman man. I love the movies,
Mm.
but I'm not as well versed in the comics, I will say.
So how many questions roughly do you have?
As of right now, I've got a list of I've got a solid 10 to 12 right now.
Okay.
I didn't know how many more we were going to do, so I haven't
I
went
can do
past that yet.
like 30 or like maybe 50.
30 or 40.
But
All
I
right,
don't want to kill your brain.
let's
I know
set
you,
let's set it let's set it at 21. Let's set it at a nice 21.
yeah, I do 21.
Okay, 21 questions
So
on
are you
Batman.
leaning more like comic books or like TV? So are you doing a mix?
Most of mine right now, so it's about half and half, I think,
Okay.
as of right now. So of these 10, 12, there's about like half visual media, and then about half like comic book
Yeah,
or
I can know.
stories.
I would know a little comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to do a ranking of the Batman actors too.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, and I also want to talk about theories about the new movie
Okay. All
as
right.
well.
I will say that I'm probably not the best. I haven't watched.
Oh yeah,
As I've gotten older, I've kind of just avoided trailers for things because they just
I have
ruin too
too,
much
but
parts
this
of
is
the
bad.
movie. Okay, that's true. I just haven't seen any of the new trailers, and I probably won't watch any of them. I saw the initial trailer
Mm,
where they introduced Pattinson as Batman, and I was like, "This looks pretty good." I'm not
mm.
gonna watch any more trailers because they're gonna probably ruin parts of the movie.
So I know you said you don't go to the theater a lot. Are you gonna? Is this gonna be
Hmm.
a theater one for you?
I don't know. I haven't really been to the theater in since the pandemic started. I used to go to the theater all the time before the pandemic started. But work, busy, everything.
I got you.
Being in a crowded room with a bunch of people who may be sick. That's
Yeah,
just haven't been back in a minute.
yeah.
But I
I've been
love
kind
going
of
to movie theaters.
selective, especially now with
Yeah.
Omicron.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But this is gonna be like one where like like the earliest showing I can go where there's any available seats. Like I'm going
Right.
because I've been
Yeah.
waiting like 2 years for less.
Oh, it has been a minute. I do love Matt Reeves, so I'm excited to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. We're gonna see something else. I did blank. I totally blanked.
It's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely excited for it. Oh, do you have a Little Caesars close by where you when you live?
There is. I don't know if there is or not, but I did have Little Caesars the other day, and they had like an advertisement on the box for Batman. This calzone looking
Yeah, it
thing
was really good.
that it looks funky. I can't describe. I can't. It
Yeah,
almost looks like a diaper. Like, it's crazy looking.
well, it's like the pizza. It's like the bat wings. And
Right. Have you had it?
in the ears.
Have you had
The
it? Is it
calzone
any
part was a
good?
lot better than the pizza part.
Oh, okay. I mean, Little Caesars is hit or miss sometimes. It's better when it's hot.
Yeah, but yeah, I liked it. It was good. It was good.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll give it a swing.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll see you later this month, I guess, with the
Sounds
Batman
good.
trivia.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Drew from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share with your friends because that's how it gets the Horror and Sci-Fi and Beyond name out there. Make sure you leave a comment with your favorite horror villains and protagonists. And this has been Drew from Horror Sci-Fi and Beyond. Over and out. Bye.